Hello everyone. I will now be going over how to complete the Excel sheet on how to count your hours worked. So I do send this Excel sheet in the beginning of the month, so you guys do have something to track your hours in the meantime until you do receive your timesheet. But now it's actually going to be required for you to complete this, and the only reason for this is because there has been a lot of issues when it comes to counting the Excel sheet. When it comes to counting your hours on the actual timesheet. So the Excel sheet is a really nice tool because you do not have to do no math. You literally just input your hours and it'll count everything for you. Um, and the only thing you really have to do is just do the conversion. So I'm going to go over the breakdown of the Excel sheet and how it's going to count your hours and how to properly use it. So when using the Excel sheets, you do have to be careful just because there's formulas already built into this. And if you do any like mistake, or if you move any like numbers, you might end up messing the tracker, and there goes all your hours counted. It might not count them correctly, or it might start counting them incorrectly. So just please make sure when you do get this Excel sheet, you're careful when inputting time. And like I said, I'm going to go over how to properly input time here and how this would work to count your hours. So if you notice at the top right here, the same thing that your timesheet has, the conversion is up here as well too. So you're able to see how to convert the minutes to tenths. So the nice thing about the Excel is that it's kind of broken down like your timesheet. If you look at one specific day, so first of all, it's broken down by the days. So these are the days, if it's, for example, March, I'm sorry, this should be March right here. So for example, if it's for March, it's going to be March 2nd, March 3rd, March 4th, and then following March 5th, March 6th. So that's how you know what day you're reporting for. So I'm going to look at March 2nd, and right here, there's already some time. So you can see on how it should look. Please make sure to delete these hours when you're using the Excel sheet. This is here just as an example, and it also tells you right here to make sure to delete these hours before inputting your own. So I'm going to delete this because I'm going to demonstrate on how to properly complete this. And right here at the top, you also have examples. You have two examples. The first example shows you on when you're reporting twice in a day. So on your timesheet, you do have a box which has 6 little boxes on there that you're able to report your hours twice in a day. So for example, if you get a lunchtime or if you work another shift during that day, you're able to report those 2 different times. Or so that's example 1, which is why there's all these numbers. So it says the same thing as your timesheet. So in, out, and then hours worked, in, out, and then hours worked. The next column here is total hours worked. So it counts, this column here will automatically count your minutes and your hours. This last column over here, converted total hours, you're actually doing the conversion yourself. The Excel sheet won't do the conversion for you, but with the minutes already here counted, it'll be easier to convert it, because at this point, all you're looking at, for example, this says 43 minutes. All I'm looking at is where 43 lands at, which is on the 8th. So that's 6 hours, 0.8 tenths, which will input right here. This second example just shows hours inputted once in a day. It doesn't have the second in and out. So as you can see, it was from 2:45 to 5:03, and that's 2 hours and 17 minutes. 2 hours and 17 minutes is the total time. And then over here is the conversion. So I'll look over where 17 minutes falls under, which is right here between 13 to 18. That's 0.3. So if you work 2 hours and 17 minutes, that equals to 2 hours and 3 minutes. So at the end of each week, just how it has it on your timesheet, it'll count the total hours for you. So then that way you can also input that on your timesheet. So as you can see right here, if you count the total hours without the conversion, that's 9 hours total. But with the conversion, it actually gives you a little bit more. So that'll add up to 9.1. And as I previously mentioned on the timesheet video, that you do get a little bit more of your time worked if you use the conversion of tenths compared to with minutes, you wouldn't get as much time. So as you can see, 9 hours versus 9.1. So I do go over that a little bit more on your timesheet, okay? So moving on with the Excel sheet. So let's say you ended up working on March 2nd. Some things you also want to keep in mind is that on your Excel sheet, you do have to either put AM or PM. If you don't put AM or PM, it's not going to properly count your hours. And it also has these instructions over here at the top about adding the AM or PM. Make sure you use AM or PM correctly, because then let's say if I'm reporting 2 hours, I worked from 2:30 p.m. to, let's say, I put right here 9 a.m. You see, it's not going to give you the proper hours for this. So please make sure when you're inputting time to input them correctly. Be careful on how you input hours. So let's say I worked from 2:30 p.m. until 4:55 p.m. As you can see, it does count the minutes right there. So that's 2 hours and 25 minutes. So another thing when inputting hours is when you're inputting PM and AM, you have to be careful when doing that, as previously mentioned. Let's say I worked at 10 in the morning. So you're inputting this as how time is inputted. So 10 semicolon 00, I'm going to put space, and then that's going to be AM. And that'll automatically count my hours for that one. I'm moving on to the next box. Let's say I worked up until 1:24 space PM. And that's going to give you the total count. So you worked a total of 3 hours and 24 minutes. Let's say this day you didn't work any more hours, and this was the only time you worked. So as you can see right here, it gives you your total hours worked. And right here, you will look at your conversions to see where 24 minutes lands on. So you're able to move over your time over here. And sorry, this shouldn't have been right here. This should have been deleted. So we'll put our conversion right here. So the conversions, you do have to do them yourself. Make sure to convert them. As mentioned on your timesheet video, you're supposed to convert your time. That's how you properly submit your hours. So although you have your minutes right here, please make sure not to input this on your timesheet, and please make sure to input the conversions. So you work 3 hours and 24 minutes. So I'm gonna go to my minutes, and I see 24 falls under 19 to 24 minutes. And tenths, that's 0.4. So right here, I would put 3 hours, 0.4. That's how much you work that day, okay? And as you can see, it'll count, like I said, it'll count all the hours for you for that week. So you don't even have to do that math, okay? So let's say for this week, I ended up working on the 4th. And let's say this day I worked from 4:15. No, sorry, let me make it earlier so it can be a lunch break. Let's say I worked from 8:30 a.m. So I put 8:30 space AM, next box. And let's say I'm working 8 hours, or even if you know you're working more than 6 hours, as mentioned, you do have to report a 30-minute lunch break if you're planning to work more than 6 hours. So at your 6th hour or before then, you are supposed to be taking your lunch break. So let's say from 8:30 up until I want to put 1 semicolon 00 p.m. and that's 4 hours and a half. You decide to go take a lunch at that time. Perfect. Now you're like I said, you are at least required to take a 30-minute lunch. So let's say you take your 30-minute lunch, you come back at 1:30. So I put 1 semicolon 30 space p.m. and you ended up working up until, let's say now it's going to be 5 semicolon 00 space p.m. That's 3 hours and a half right there, a total of 8 hours. like I said, you're not supposed to be working more than 8 hours a day. So please make sure to keep that in mind. You don't get overtime. So there's no reason for you to be working more than 8 hours a day, okay? It's 8 hours in conversion. You don't have no minutes, so you'll just put the 8 right here. So then that can automatically count it for your conversion right here. So this week you worked a total of 11 hours and 24 minutes. If you convert it, you worked a total of 11.4 hours, okay? And this right here is what you'll put on your timesheet box on hours total worked, okay? Same thing with if you worked on the second, you're not gonna put you worked a total of 3 hours and 24 minutes. You're gonna put that you worked 3 hours, 0.4, okay? So that's how you complete a tracker. Let's say for the rest of the month you didn't end up working, and let's say you worked only this week right here. And also, as you may all know, your timesheets are always due a week before the month ends. So please, if you know what your hours will look like for the last week, make sure to also include them on your tracker, just so when I'm reviewing your timesheet, it makes it easier for me to count your time. If you've already done this, I'm just only verifying that the time looks the same on your timesheet, okay? So I'm just gonna do over here a couple more times just as reference. Let's say I didn't end up working any other days besides right here on the 22nd. Let's say I worked from 5:37 p.m. up until, let's say, 9:28 p.m. That's going to be a total of 3 hours and 51 minutes right here. So this will convert, so 3 hours and 51, if you go at the top, you'll find where 51 falls under, which is between here. So in conversion, that's 0.9. So in your box over here, where it says 3 hours and 51 minutes, you will put 3 hours and 0.9. Okay, so it'll automatically convert it. As I mentioned, it'll automatically also count your total hours. And if you go at the bottom, it also counts the total hours for the month worked. And as you can tell, for the month, you worked a total of 15 hours and 15 minutes. But in conversions, it'll change it to 15.3, okay? So just please make sure you're using your conversions. Please make sure when you're inputting hours on your timesheet, you're properly inputting them. Because as you previously saw, if you're not inputting PM or AM correctly, it will not let you, it will not count the numbers for you. So just one more time, when reporting hours, make sure you're including space when doing AM or PM. So for example, 8:1:5:8:15, and I worked in the morning, I'm going to do space AM, okay? And then let's say I worked up until 10:47. So 10:47 space AM, and that's going to give me 2 hours and 32 minutes. 2 hours, I didn't work that day again, 2 hours and 32 minutes. So now I'm going to see what 32 minutes falls under, which is going to be the 6/10 right here. So now I will put this to 2.6, enter, and you see it'll automatically count it for you. 17 hours and 47 minutes will convert to 17.9. And right here, 47 minutes, if you go over here, it won't give you the 8, it won't give you the same as over here. Like I said, your conversions will always give you a little bit more compared to if you're adding your total minutes. Even at the end, it won't be as much as this one over here. So 17 with 47 minutes, 47 falls under 0.8. So that'll be 17.8. So it's good to use your conversions because, like I said, you'll always get a little bit more time, more hours worked for your time, okay? And that will conclude today's video on how to properly complete an Excel sheet. Feel free to send me an email. I'm Penelope, and we can always do this together if you're confused, okay? Thank you.